everyone, welcome to another deep dive with us.
Hi, everybody.
And today we're going to be doing a really interesting deep dive, I think, into prayer, but not prayer in the way that you might typically think about it.
Right.
We're really going to try to go deep on the ideas of Carl Jung and how he looked at prayer.
Yeah, and how it can transform us.
Yeah, exactly. And, I think a lot of our listeners are really interested in how they can change their lives and really looking for that secret key.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this is it, I don't know, but but it's a really fascinating way of looking at it.
Yeah, one of the things that I found so interesting when I was reading this source material is that it wasn't about asking for things necessarily,
Right.
but that it was about changing your internal state,
Yeah.
your consciousness.
Yeah.
And that was the blueprint for your external reality.
So instead of begging for a different outcome, you're actually changing the source from which your reality is created.
Exactly.
Whoa, that's powerful.
It's huge, yeah.
But how do you actually do that?
Right.
How do you shift your consciousness to create the life that you want?
Well, Jung believed that deep within each of us, there's this wellspring of wisdom and potential that he called the collective unconscious. And he saw prayer as a way to connect with this deeper part of ourselves.
It's funny, when I think about traditional prayer, I think about someone kneeling with their hands clasped, looking upward.
Right.
But what you're describing sounds much more like an inward journey.
Exactly. And that's the whole point, is that everything that we need, all the resources and potential we could ever want, already exists within us.
Wow.
And prayer in this context is about aligning with that potential
Yeah.
and allowing it to flow into our lives.
So it's not about reaching out to some external force, but rather reaching in and tapping into the power that's already there.
Yes. And so many spiritual teachings throughout history have pointed to this, that we already possess the potential for everything that we desire.
Okay.
And prayer, in the way that Jung understood it, it's about helping us realize that potential and align with it.
I'm definitely intrigued by this idea, but I need some practical steps.
Okay.
What does this actually look like? How do we make that interconnection and start transforming our reality?
Well, the source material really highlights a few key elements that I think are really important, and it all starts with clarity. You need to know exactly what you want.
Okay.
And I don't mean vague desires like, I want to be happy.
Yeah.
I'm talking about specific, well-defined goals.
Right, like not just I want a new job, but I want a job where I feel challenged and respected and I can make a real difference.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the more specific you are, the more you can really focus your energy and intention.
Right.
And once you have that clarity, the next step is visualization.
Okay.
This is where you create a vivid mental picture of your desire as if it's already happening.
I used to think visualization was just a bunch of fluffy new age stuff.
Right.
But I'm really starting to understand how it could be a powerful tool. It's like creating a blueprint for your subconscious mind to follow.
Precisely. You're not just daydreaming. You're actively shaping your reality by imprinting this image on your subconscious.
Right.
And to make it even more powerful, you need to engage your emotions. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the excitement, whatever emotions are associated with your desire.
Yeah.
It's that emotional energy that really fuels the power of prayer.
That makes sense. You can't just intellectually think about what you want. You have to feel it in your heart.
Exactly. And this is where faith comes in.
Okay.
It's that unshakable belief that what you desire is already on its way, even if you don't see tangible evidence of it yet.
So faith isn't about blind belief. It's about trusting that the universe is conspiring in our favor.
Yes.
Even if we don't understand how it's all going to work out.
Yes. And this can lead to something that Jung called synchronicity.
Okay.
Those meaningful coincidences that seem to happen when you're aligned with your purpose.
Oh, I've definitely experienced that. Have you?
Absolutely.
At what?
Oh my gosh. All the time. But
Give me an example.
you go first.
Okay. I remember when I was desperately searching for a new apartment and I had visualized exactly what I wanted, like down to the neighborhood and the type of building. And then completely out of the blue, a friend mentioned that her neighbor was moving and their apartment sounded exactly like what I had envisioned. It was like the universe orchestrated the whole thing.
That's a perfect example of synchronicity at play. When you align your internal state with your desired outcome, the universe seems to conspire to make it happen.
Wow, this is also fascinating. It really challenges that traditional view of prayer that I think a lot of us grew up with.
Right.
But I love how it empowers us to take an active role in shaping our reality. But I'm curious, how does the concept of repentance fit into all of this?
That's a great question. And it's where we start to delve into the even deeper transformative power of prayer.
Okay.
You see, repentance in this context isn't about guilt or shame.
Right.
It's about a radical shift in mindset, what the ancient Greeks called metanoia, which literally means a change of mind.
So it's not about beating ourselves up for past mistakes, but about choosing to see ourselves and the world through a new lens.
Exactly. It's like you've been wearing glasses that distort your vision, and repentance is the act of taking off those glasses and choosing to see with fresh, clear eyes. And the source material suggests that this change of mind is a twofold process.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What are the two parts?
First, it's about taking personal responsibility for changing your inner state. Nobody can do that for you. You have to actively choose to shift your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs.
That makes sense. We can't just sit around waiting for a miracle. We have to do our part. But what's the second part? What happens after we make that commitment to change?
The second part is where it gets really interesting. The source suggests that when you genuinely commit to inner transformation, when you take that first step, the divine meets you halfway, like a partnership, a co-creation between your human efforts and a higher power.
So it's not about forcing our will on the universe, but about aligning ourselves with a greater power and allowing that power to work through us.
Precisely, the source uses the analogy of planting a seed. You do your part by preparing the soil, planting the seed, and watering it. But you can't force the seed to grow. That's the realm of nature of the divine.
Right.
In the same way we do our part through prayer, clarifying our desires, visualizing, feeling, and then we surrender to a greater power to bring it to fruition.
This is all so rich, and we've only just begun to explore the depths of this concept.
I know, it's amazing.
But before we go any further, I think it's time to delve into the role of gratitude stillness and the idea that we are co-creators of our reality.
Yes.
So let's take a quick break and we'll be right back.
That analogy of the seed is so powerful,
Yeah.
because it really highlights the importance of surrender. We can't force things to happen, but we can create the right conditions for growth.
It's about letting go of the need to control every detail.
Yes.
And trusting that something greater is orchestrating the process.
Exactly, and that's where gratitude comes in. The text really emphasizes this, the power of gratitude as a way to affirm that what we desire is already ours, even if it hasn't manifested in the physical world yet.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like saying, thank you, universe, for this amazing gift, even though I can't see it yet.
Right.
It shifts our focus from a place of lack to a place of abundance.
Right, and that shift in perspective is so important because it aligns us with the frequency of what we want to create. Remember, our external reality is a reflection of our internal state.
So if we're constantly dwelling in gratitude, we're actually creating a more abundant and fulfilling reality.
Yes.
That's incredible.
It is, and it's not always easy to stay in that space of gratitude,
Right.
especially when we're facing challenges.
Yeah.
But the text reminds us that, the divine often works in mysterious ways, and that our timeline might not always align with the divine timeline.
That's where patience comes in, right?
Yes.
We have to trust that things are unfolding as they should, even if it doesn't look that way at the moment.
Exactly, and it's also where stillness becomes so important.
All right.
In our fast-paced world, it's so easy to get caught up in the noise and the distractions.
Right.
But the text really emphasizes this need to cultivate moments of stillness.
It's like taking a pause from the external chaos to connect with that peace and wisdom within.
Yes.
I found that even just a few minutes of meditation each day can make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
It helps me quiet my mind and tap into a deeper level of awareness.
I'm so glad to hear that. Those moments of stillness are essential because they create a space for us to listen to those whispers of our soul,
Right.
to receive guidance and inspiration from the divine.
It's like we're creating a fertile ground within ourselves for our prayers to take root and blossom. And speaking of creating, we also talked about the idea of being co-creators of our reality.
Yes.
That's such an empowering concept, but I have to admit I'm still a little fuzzy on what it actually means.
Right. Well, it doesn't mean that we become like mini gods with the power to manipulate the universe.
Yeah. Okay.
It's more about recognizing that we're not passive bystanders in our lives.
Right.
We have an active role in shaping our experiences through our thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions, including our prayers.
So it's like we're given this set of paints and brushes,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the freedom to create the masterpiece of our lives.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And just like an artist needs a clear vision for their painting, we too need to be clear about what we want to create in our lives.
Right. That's where all the elements we've discussed come into play.
Exactly.
Clarifying our desires, visualizing, feeling the emotions, surrendering with faith, practicing gratitude, cultivating stillness. It's a holistic approach to aligning our inner world with the reality we want to experience.
Exactly. And it's not just a bunch of New Age mumbo-jumbo.
Right.
These ideas have been around for centuries, expressed in different ways across cultures and spiritual traditions. The power of prayer, the idea that we can tap into a deeper power within ourselves to transform our lives, is a timeless concept.
It really is. And this particular perspective, drawing on Jung's insights, offers such a rich and practical framework for harnessing that power.
Absolutely.
But I'm curious, how can our listener take all of this and put it into practice in their daily life?
That's a great question, and I think is a perfect segue into the final part of our deep dive, where we'll distill all of these insights into actionable steps that can be integrated into anyone's life.
We've been on quite the journey with this Jungian perspective on prayer.
I know, it's fascinating stuff.
And I'm really ready to get into the practical application of it. How do we take all this great information and make it real in our lives?
Right. Well, it can feel a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
When you first start thinking about where do I begin?
Right.
But the beauty of this approach is that it's a process. It's a journey, not a destination. There's no need to try and do everything all at once.
Right.
Just start by focusing on one or two key elements that really resonate with you.
Okay, so maybe we can break it down into some simple steps for our listener.
Okay.
And we already talked about the importance of clarity, so maybe that's a good place to start. How do we get really clear about what it is we want to create in our lives?
That's really the foundation of everything you know. It's about moving beyond those vague surface level desires.
Right.
And really digging deep into what truly matters to you.
Oh, okay.
Ask yourself, what does a fulfilling life look like for me? What brings me joy? What are my unique gifts and talents? And how can I share them with the world?
It's like we're painting this picture of our ideal life.
Yes.
But instead of just the broad strokes, we're adding in all those intricate details.
Yes.
And then once we have that clear vision, we can start using visualization to actually bring it to life.
Yes. Spend time each day imagining yourself living that life, feeling the emotions associated with it. Engage all of your senses. What do you see, hear, smell, taste, and feel? The more vivid you can make it, the more powerful the impact on your subconscious mind.
It's like creating a movie in our minds.
Yes.
And we're the stars of the show. And speaking of feeling, you mentioned the importance of engaging our emotions.
Yes.
Why is that so crucial?
Emotions are the energy that fuels our prayers. Think of it this way. Thoughts are like the seeds, but emotions are the water and the sunlight that help them to grow. If we can infuse our visualizations with feelings of joy, gratitude, excitement, or even peace and serenity, it amplifies their power tenfold.
So it's not just about thinking about what we want, but about feeling it as if it's already ours.
Exactly, and that brings us to the next step, surrender.
Okay.
Once we've clarified our desires, visualized them, and infused them with emotion, we need to release them to the universe with trust and faith.
This whole idea of surrender used to make me feel passive.
Right.
Like I was just giving up control, but now I see it as this really powerful act of aligning myself with a greater force.
It's about recognizing that we don't have to control every little detail. We can trust that the universe has our back and that things are unfolding as they should.
And that brings us to gratitude, right?
Yes.
When we practice gratitude, we're acknowledging all those blessings in our lives and affirming that what we desire is already on its way.
Gratitude is such a powerful antidote to fear and doubt. It shifts our focus from what we lack to what we already have, and it creates this powerful magnetic force that attracts more abundance into our lives.
I love how all of these elements work together,
Yes.
Clarity, visualization, emotion, surrender, gratitude. It's like we're creating this symphony of intention. And the universe is responding with this resounding yes.
And don't forget the importance of stillness.
Right.
Those quiet moments of meditation or contemplation are essential for connecting with the divine within and receiving guidance and inspiration.
It's like we're stepping out of the rushing river of life and finding that quiet pool where we can reflect, recharge, and reconnect with our true selves.
And in that space of stillness, we can start to really embrace this concept of being co-creators of our reality.
Right.
We're not just puppets on strings. We have the power to choose our thoughts, our emotions, and our beliefs.
Right.
And those choices shape the world around us.
It's such an empowering idea.
It is.
We're not victims of circumstance. We actually have the power to create the life we want.
Exactly. And prayer, in this Jungian sense, is such a powerful tool for aligning ourselves with that creative power.
Wow. This has been an incredible deep dive.
I know, it's amazing.
We've covered so much ground, from understanding Jung's unique perspective on prayer to outlining all these practical steps for applying it in our lives.
Absolutely. And I hope it's inspired you to think about prayer in a new way,
Yeah.
as a powerful tool for personal transformation and a means of co-creating a more fulfilling and meaningful life.
I know it's certainly shifted my perspective, and as we wrap up this deep dive, I just want to leave you with this one thought. What if the true power of prayer isn't about changing the world, but about changing ourselves? About tapping into that divine spark within and allowing it to illuminate every aspect of our lives. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep believing in the transformative power of prayer.